there, I'm Artistic Gamer 7, and this is going to be a little sort of weird random intro to start off the video, because originally I wasn't planning on this being separated from a other section of the videos. I originally was going to do a mini vlog with attached The Sims 4 Once. The Sims 4 Once ended up being so long, I didn't realize I was going to take that long discussing those things and talking about those things that not only do I have to split up in two parts, but it's best for me to deconnect the mini vlog that I had in the front of it. So this is going to be my Sims 4 Once video where I talk about things that people over on Twitter really wanted to see. I apologize getting to it so late. I did put the tweet out like not early July, but it was like early, almost early, mid-July type, around in that area, that I tweeted out a tweet like, what do you all want to see in The Sims 4? So, which I know some of the common things and some of the things that people really wanted, but I wanted to see just how many different other opinions of Sims 4, like things that they wanted in Sims 4 there was out there. And I was going to talk about mine. If everyone didn't mention some of the things that I really wanted to see, I was going to talk about them at the end of the video. Otherwise, I would just talk about my wants while they appeared for other people's wants. So, hope you enjoy the video. It's going to cut to the part where I start reading off people's tweets. I'm going to try to remember to put everyone's tweets up in the video as well so that you can actually see and read them and see who said them, because sometimes I cannot pronounce things correctly. There's one particular word that I think I pronounce in the second part mainly, that I cannot pronounce at all. It's gonna be horrible. I apologize. It's a word that I've never been able to say in my whole entire life for whatever reason. So just be prepared. Sorry, but yeah, hope you enjoy the video. So So, towards the beginning of July, I'd posted, I don't know how far in July it was. I have, like, screenshots on my phone of these tweets, so I can't see the actual, oh wait, yeah, no. It was, like, mid-July, actually, by the looks of it. Around early-ish July, but not, like, super early July, I posted asking, what do people want in The Sims 4? Some of them are obvious, but I just wanted to see, like, if there was any out there that people had that I hadn't heard or wasn't one of the obvious ones. Like, one of the big ones, of course, that I hear all the time is university. And I think some of these people did mention university. I'll bring my thoughts on university when I get to that, but what I'm going to do is I'm going to read these people's, like, wants and things like that, and then I'll do mine. But honestly, if my memory serves me right, most of these people mentioned a lot of the wants that I wanted for Sims 4. So I'll just be commenting as I go through them if that was something I was hoping to have. And if there was something missed, I'll get it at the end. But I just am going to go randomly through these. I don't know who technically commented first here and there, but I'm just going to randomly go through them. I'm going to try to get screenshots or screen grabs of them up onto the video as well so that they'll show up there as well. But Crazy Cat Nerd actually had technically 3 tweets, but I asked for their top 3 things. They didn't necessarily have to give me all 3, but I was just saying, like, give me your top 3. And she had 3 separate tweets for each one, and her absolute number 1 want is chemistry, attraction, crush system, something along those lines. I think my Sims, as independent little beings that I am helping, I want them to tell me who they think is a hottie. And I remember, was it Sims 3 that had that sort of system, that had something similar, that, like, they would be sort of attracted to certain people and not. I sort of like that idea, and I like having that. I sort of just, the way that I've been doing, like, the Eevee Unforgotten series, I do have plans, but I'm also paying attention to my Sims as well. So if I see that there's certain Sims that they're in particularly talking to a whole lot and seem to be getting along with, then I'm like, well, maybe they would be good Sims together. Maybe they like each other. And I won't necessarily, like, sometimes I force the romantic and sometimes I don't. If you've recently watched one of my, I think it's the last Eevee episode, Vaporeon had a relationship with someone previously and then they had separated. But slowly over time, when I wasn't playing her, this pink bar was growing. So it sort of just happened on its own. That's sort of what I sort of like happening. I do have some influence over it, but that's how I sort of gauge it. It's sort of like my own version of this. If a system was apt, like 100% in play, that would be cool. The only thing I would say about that, in my opinion, is I wish that we'd have sort of some influence of how it would work. Cause I do have some Sims that I just let them do, like, whatever, like, see who they talk to a lot. But then there's some of them that I absolutely want them to be with a particular person. Like, I may let them date other people in the meantime, but there's someone out there that I particularly want them to be with. So if there's a way that I can sort of influence the type they like, sort of do it a way to make sure that that person fits into their like, get what I'm saying, sort of, maybe? Basically, if I made, like, a guy that was more, like, tan, dark hair for someone, and I wanted that someone to like them, then maybe I could put, like, more of their interests are darker hairs and tans, or something along those. Like, you can give them things that sort of let the game figure out what might be their likes, though with some custom content that might not work out right either. That's the thing with custom content, like, it might not work out the way that you expect it to. But, yeah. But, on that note, someone did reply to, not only, of course, it was replying to my tweet, but it was replying to their tweet, too. And it was, Caitlin Midlar? I'm sorry if I'm saying these names wrong. At Blaze Bard says that she seconds this, kind of, but I do like more basic plans for my Sims stories before I start playing them. One of the things I outline is who my Sims' love interest will be, so wouldn't mind being able to choose what my Sims find attractive, like in The Sims 2 Nightlife. So I don't remember that. Was I thinking of Sims 2 Nightlife? I apologize ahead of time. It's been so long since I played Sims 3, because the computer I had Sims 3 on eventually malfunctioned, and I never got it back onto another computer. And I had a phase that I was thinking about putting it on this computer and actually recording maybe some Sims 3, but then at the same time I was like, you know, I don't know if that's a good idea. Because I put a lot of custom content in my Sims game, so that would be Sims 4 custom content and Sims 3 custom content, and I was like, you know what, Sims 3 for me was, it was great and amazing, but, and it had the packs for Sims 3, like the expansion packs anyway, were great. Amazing. But, there's a lot of things with Sims 4 that, especially at this point, that I'm starting to enjoy and like way more than I did in Sims 3, so I was like, just, let's not cross that path. But, because I haven't played it in so long, sometimes I'm like, was that Sims 3? Or Sims 2? I can't fully remember these things. But anyway, so that was what she was saying, which is sort of what I was saying, like a way that you can sort of choose what type they're attracted to, or what, like, sort of give them free range, but not totally free range, or like, maybe you can change it so that, it, you know, some sort of way that you can have some control over it, but not full control, basically, is what I would be okay with. That wasn't one of the things that I initially thought about, but I wouldn't mind having it, as long as there was, like, some control that we could have over it. So that if I make a sim for them, I have a higher chance of them actually liking that sim that I've made for them, because I think it was, I'm pretty sure Sims 3 had it too, but maybe not. One of them, I would make sims for other sims, and they would have a hard time actually liking them, and I would have to almost strong, hardcore force it, because of the whole attraction thing. And I was like, ugh. But as long as, if there's a way that I could force it, I'd still be fine. So as long as it wasn't like, if they wasn't originally attracted to them, that means that they would never want to get with them. As long as it wasn't that, I would still be okay with it. As long as, because, you know, some people aren't initially attracted to someone anyway. And then once they get to know them, they actually do like them. So I'd still like the option to, even if they're not necessarily attracted at first, that maybe they could come after they get to know them. But anyway, I'm rambling on about the first tweet very long, and I have like 10 or so. maybe 10? I don't know. But either way, a lot. More than I need to be stuck on. Let me find her second one. Okay, so her second one was number 2, interest. I want my Sims to have interest system that we had in Sims 2, I think. I want them to have things that they like to chat about versus things they aren't interested in. The actions can be merely conversational. The more things that make my Sims different, the better. And I definitely want my Sims to be different. And I think some of the traits in Sims 4 can affect these things, but at the same time not as strongly as I think they should. I will say that. Like, if you're a, like, not per se, like, not everyone's different, so I think there should still be an option where you can pick likes and dislikes. But just using the traits as examples, if you are a geek, more likely you're going to be into books, into video games, like somewhere around in that genre, and not generally because I consider myself a geek, a nerd, or whatever, but I still like sports, but generally, most of the time, those two aren't fully connected. Like, if you like this one, you normally are not as big into this one, and the only time they may cross over is when there's video games about sports, though I don't play most of those. The ones I did play was usually, except for basketball, but that was because basketball is my favorite sport. But the sports games that I usually played were not like the like big known sports. I played like snowboarding games and skateboarding and those type of things. Those ones were fun. Things like baseball and football and soccer and all those, I didn't really play them much. I've played a few soccer ones, and those ones were more enjoyable than some of the others, but, you know, anyway, that's about the only time that they for surely have a crossing bridge towards each other, but again, not to say that someone who likes one doesn't like the other, but generally, they don't. So, if their sim was active, then maybe they wouldn't really get along with Sims that are geeks as much, things like that, but I think being able, if they implemented something like this, I think being able to actually choose, like, 2 or 3 wants and 2 or 3 dislikes would be the better option instead of going off the traits. But I feel like they could have maybe strongly done it with the traits as well. It'd be the easier way, but I don't think it would be, like, the total correct way, just because humans in general, one is not the same as the other. No matter how much you want to say it, not every geek is the same. Not every sports star is the same. Not every celebrity is the same. Not every business person is the same. Like, it's just how it is. No matter how many similarities they seem to have, when you really get to know them, they don't all have the same similarities. And for instance, like, geeks, when it comes to video games, a big differential in between those people is there's some people that like different styles of games. There's some people out there that prefer, like, PC games versus the console games. There's people out there that prefer, like, shooters over RPGs, things like that. Like, there's still differences amongst a community of people, and even if you get into that community of people, it's still going to keep breaking down till you get to an individual person. So there may be similarities, but never the same. So, basically. Anyway. So, let me go and find her third one, and we'll go and discuss that as well. Okay, her third one actually is one of the things that I will say that was 100% one of mine. The other two, definitely I like the idea, and I would encourage it to be in the game, but this is one that I absolutely 100% is one of my wants. If she wouldn't have said it, or someone else wouldn't have said it, I would have said it at the end of the video. And that is more hobbies, and she put like 2 exclamation marks, or an independent hobby system that includes some of the other skills that are already available. I want my Sims hobbies to be separate from their careers, like mine are, which is very, very true. I currently don't have a job, but what my job was, I was originally an assistant manager at a retail store, which it probably doesn't really matter now since I no longer work there, but it was called Charlotte Russe. It was a women's clothing store. They were, like, cheaper clothes, but they were trying to be very more on fashion, current fashion, and things like that. That is, though I enjoyed that job because I actually enjoy clothes, I enjoy fashion, most people who, knew me in high school would have known me for the video games and that sort of stuff, and would have probably never thought that I would ever got into fashion and things like that. So, like, your career and your hobbies can be totally different. And there's some things in the games that are sort of there, like the collection system, and I'm a big collector. I have every single amiibo that's ever been out there except for one that is one of the Japan exclusives. I normally get the Japan exclusives, but I haven't been able to get a hold of that particular one. But other than that, I have all of the amiibos. I sort of collect pop figures. I only really collect the ones that I really enjoy and really like. But I have all of those. I collect Pokemon cards and things like that. So that's sort of in there, and that's sort of a hobby, but it doesn't seem as much of a hobby just because of the fact that, yeah, it has a collection screen and you get achievements for that, but I feel like that's more for you and not so much for the sim. Because a hobby, I feel like a sim should automatically want to do. Like, when they're on, like, autonomous, like, they can freely go around and do whatever they want, I feel like a hobby should be something that they're more likely to do on their own than something that they're not. Of course, their needs should come first, but I feel like if they are a collector, then maybe they should go out and go looking in those frog things and things like that on their own, because I think that would be more interesting. But there's all sorts of hobbies out there, and some people don't like all hobbies, and I feel like there's no particular system or particular way to differentiate what's their actual hobby. I feel like all sims do about all the same things and go to about the same things. So just using the stuff in there, not all sims are going to want to go out and play basketball, yet most sims will eventually at some point pick up the basketball and play basketball. Not all sims are going to be into video games, but at some point they all go and play on the computer. Now, some of the mobile games, when they're playing on their phone, I can understand playing on their phone because a lot of people have mobile games and like app games, stuff like that, but they don't actually play like PC and console games. There is a difference in between those. So the phone one is fine if someone's like on the phone like woo, that's fine. Like, a lot of people do that. I know about every person I know that has a smartphone, because my dad actually does not have a smartphone. He actually despises the things. But everyone that I know that has a smartphone has at least 3 to 5 app games. So that's a little bit different. But yeah, I want more hobbies, and I want there to be a system implemented that shows off a certain Sims hobbies more than they do now. Like, again, going back to the geek, if they're a geek, they more likely should jump onto the computer more often, or maybe go out and collect things, because some people consider collecting things nerdy and geeky. That's one of the reasons why all my family members call me that. They also say it's a waste of money, but you know what? I don't care. I tell my dad he goes fishing and hunting, and I don't like that, and he wastes his money on that stuff. That's his hobby. I'm not gonna criticize him for that. I don't enjoy that. I wouldn't put money on that, but that's his hobby. So, you go do that, I'll do my thing. So, that's the thing how it is. Everyone is gonna enjoy different things, but so I would really love more hobbies, and I would love, because she says more hobbies or an implemented hobby system. I'd like both. Anything to do with hobbies and things for my Sims to do and things for my Sims to like doing, yes, give me. But anyway, I'm gonna go into the next tweet now so that we can get on to the next topic, because this video is gonna end up being longer than I thought it was. Okay, the next person, I have no idea how I would actually sort of pronounce this right, but I'll just say it out. Her name and her @ name, or their @ name, is the same. It's ILSIUS. So she says one of the ones that I know is a very popular one, which I said that I would talk about if we get to it, and her 3 are university, superstar kind of packs, so those 2 as a pack of some kind, and most importantly, more worlds to play with. I don't even care if they would cost, I think that's the symbol for euros, I'm not entirely sure, 20 each, but I want more worlds. So, the first thing she mentions is university, which I know a lot of people want university, and maybe I never gave university a fair chance, but all of my experiences with university I didn't necessarily like it, and I can't remember if it was Sims 2 or Sims 3 was the university that I played and I did not like. Because I had truly, that was a pack that I never really played with much. I never enjoyed. I liked some of the stuff that came from the pack, but the actual system of university, I don't remember. You can let me know down in the comments below which one it was, because I really don't remember. But I remember the one that I actually played the most is that you would have a Sims world, and then you would have a university, and you can send your Sims off to university. But it seemed like when you sent them off, they almost became like a separate save, almost. Like they didn't really communicate with the rest of the world. And though, if you go off to college, sometimes you do go really far away from college, but I know people that went to, I went to a community college, a small little community college, and there were still people there that were like international, like they came from somewhere else and came into the United States and went to that community college. But they still kept in touch with people back home as much as they could. And on breaks, if the break was long enough, they usually went back home for a while and hung out with them. So I feel like there should be some, that it didn't seem like you were connected at all to the other world. And also, like, I think the game actually almost made it like a separate thing. So, like, I had two of the same Sims. Like, I made, like, the way it treated it, it made it seem like it's its own thing. So I had a Sim self in both worlds. But they never saw each other because they were just so separate. It just seemed like too much of a disconnect to the rest of the world and the rest of, like, the save, that I really didn't like it. I didn't like the idea of my Sims going off to college, and if I played in the actual town, it was like they didn't exist anymore. So I don't know which one that was, but I didn't enjoy it. I didn't like it. If it was Sims 2, that may have been why I don't think I even got Sims 3. I'm not even sure. Like I said, those two are sort of blurring together at this point because I haven't played either one of them in so long. But also, I did not play University much. Like, once I played it for a while, I liked it, but I didn't like it enough that I stuck with it. And then I stopped sending Sims to college. Even though it made all of my Sims unhappy that they didn't go to college. And that's another thing that I didn't like. I was like, not everyone goes to college. I technically didn't even finish college. Like, I went, but I didn't finish. Because I'm not 100% sure where I want to go. And I didn't want to keep wasting money until I got to the point I was sure. So, not everyone goes to college. Not everyone wants to go to college. So, I don't think every single Sim should be getting upset that they didn't go to college. So, it's never been a one of mine. Maybe if they do it a certain way, I mean, I'll still give it a try, because at this point, Sims 4 is the first one that I've been keeping up with all the packs, that I've actually been getting all the packs. So if they did make a university one, and I feel like they're going to, I feel like university is so much wanted, like, so badly wanted, that there's no way that they're not going to bring university back at some point. I can't tell you when. I don't know if it's going to be, like, a game pack or an expansion pack. I feel like University would probably be better suited as a game pack. With the amount of stuff they did with Jungle Adventure, I feel like University would fit as a game pack more than expansion pack. Unless they just added a whole lot of stuff to it. And I think if they did, maybe if they did go for it as an expansion pack, maybe it would have a chance of me liking it even more. But I mean, I love Jungle Adventure, so there's still a chance that I would like it. But I'll get it, I'll give it a try. But on my past experience, I didn't enjoy it too much. So, but again, don't be mad at me that I didn't, because like I said, I can't even remember which university that it was that I played that made me not like the university as a whole. So, and I'm almost thinking it may have been Sims 2, because I'm not entirely sure if I ever actually got University for Sims 3, and I think that may have been because at the time I couldn't get every single pack. I didn't have the money to do so. So I probably was very selective, and probably my previous experience of University made me not select it for 3, but yeah, I can't fully remember. But anyway, so on to the next one, which is the Superstar kind of pack. That one I would be okay with. I would like to have a celebrity system some way, as long as they would give me a cheat to currently make certain Sims that I already have in my saves as celebrities, depending on when this pack comes out especially. if it comes out more, if it was to be a thing that actually existed and it comes out sooner rather than later, then if you've like watched any of my Townie Life or some of the other ones, Callie and Marie in my save file are supposed to be like the like really really famous, really popular Sims, like the high up in my Sim family, Sim lives or whatever. So I would want to be able to make a cheat to make them like top of the top so that they were already there, because that's sort of in my mind they already are supposed to be. So as long as they give me a cheat to sort of influence certain Sims already to be that superstar way, I think they should. And I think there should be different reasons why Sims can become superstars. I don't think they necessarily need to have. I think a career like this would be the best time to bring in careers like actor and actress and those type of things. But I think other careers tend to get superstars in other ways. And I also think maybe they should have, I don't know if it'd be too much, but a system of different Sims reacting to superstars different ways. So like if you were famous in like the scientist career, for instance, which seems weird, but if you really love science, there's a lot of people that in science they consider them almost like superstars. Like they look up to them, and like if they ever got to meet them, they would be super super excited. So I feel like maybe certain Sims are well known to people who enjoy science and who are in the science career, but maybe not so much to other Sims. And like even for video gaming, like there's certain people in the video gaming world and community that a lot of, when you say their name, people know who they are. People instantly recognize them. People want to meet them and things like that. But then there's some people that's like me and just play games and almost no one really knows. So I think there should be a system for almost all the careers or hobbies or things like that that maybe like would influence that a little bit more. And be like, oh, it's the world famous scientist or whatever. But someone who's like has no interest in anything science like or nerdy or anything like that wouldn't really care and wouldn't really know and wouldn't run to them to try to get an autograph or anything like that. That I think would make it really cool. But that's just my opinion. I don't even know if there would be a way to fully do that without causing like a whole lot of programming issues. I don't know how all that stuff works. So, but I think that would be cool. That's just my opinion. But anyway, on to the last thing she said, which is another one of my, yes, number one would have been at the end of the video if someone didn't mention it, and I think a few people mentioned it, is more worlds. Yes. And I wouldn't mind paying like a little bit, like I don't think they need to be like up there with necessarily, they don't need to be as expensive as game packs, but maybe around like the price of a stuff pack. I wouldn't mind a new world either. Like one that's a little bit more detailed than Newcrest. I feel like I'm happy for Newcrest. I love Newcrest, and honestly, if they gave me another place like Newcrest, it'd be fine. But if they gave a more updated version, well, not necessarily updated, but like more detailed is what I meant to say. So like if it was, they sort of did a world like Newcrest, but sort of gave more detail to it and made it look like it sort of fit a little bit more with some of the other worlds, because it looked like Newcrest didn't have as much detail into it. But I still love that it's there. I would not have it any other way, because I wanted a new world, and I want more worlds, because I have a lot of Sims. And I also feel like it's, like, when you start having, like, if you play, like, multiple generations of a family, they're going to start spreading out more and more and more. Or you're going to have some of those Sims that don't really want to live in, they want to go to a new town. They want to experience something new. They don't want to go to a town that family members are already living in, because you visit your family members, you see it. So, I would love more worlds. I would love more unique worlds. I definitely want one, like, I know Brindleton Bay is sort of attached to a sea or an ocean or something like that, but it's more like a port type town sort of feel, and not so much of a full-on beachy feel. I would love one that's more full-on beachy, like beach houses and things like that, like looks like it's like belongs to like more of a popular beach or something like that. I would like something sort of like that one. I still really want an option to where we, like, I know you can do the like enable free build or whatever, but I want actual worlds based off of the hidden worlds at this point. because especially, what is it, Sylvant Glade? I love that place. And if fairies ever become a thing, I feel like their world should be like a world that maybe they come for, because they did one for vampires, so I feel like maybe there's a chance that if they bring any more cults in, maybe they'll get them as well. But if a world was based off of that look, I would love it. But I would want more than 5 lots. That was the only thing with Forgotten Hollow. If Forgotten Hollow had more lots, that would be like one of my top #1 favorite worlds. But it doesn't have many lots on it, so it's like I can't put many people in there. So that's the only thing about Forgotten Hollow. But I would like a place off of the Hidden Worlds, like worlds off of them that you can actually live in. Would love that. Absolutely love it. So, more worlds, yes. Please. Alright, the next person is Jody, or simply Jody YT for YouTube, which I have worked with her in some collabs before, so I'm very familiar with her. She actually ended up saying 5 things, which is perfectly fine. 2 of them we've sort of already mentioned, so I'll mention them, that she said them, but we won't go into details of them, which is university and more worlds. Yes, more worlds, please. But another one that I sort of mentioned along with more worlds was beaches. She mentioned beaches, which I definitely, not only would I like a world that's sort of themed around being like a nice big giant beach area, but I want the option to be able to swim in like lakes and ponds and beaches and things like that. I want to be able to swim in them, because I feel like if you're gonna do a beach world that is mostly centered around the fact that it's a popular beach town, people are gonna be getting in the ocean. So I definitely would want that option. The only place I wouldn't want to swim in is that one place in Jungle Adventure. There's crocodiles there, so no thank you. But I also wish The Sims reacted to those crocodiles more, because when I seen them, I was like, I ain't fishing here, but my Sims were just like, doo-doo-doo-doo-doo. But anyway, that's like totally something else. But the other 2 things that she said is magic and more life stages. So with the magic, I would imagine either, I would love magic, but that would be sort of going along with witches and or fairies, because they sort of both dabble in some sort of magic in a certain degree, which with certain things that some of the sim gurus are doing, even though they said it was no hints to anything. I remember a while back ago, Grant did do like polls for different occults, which he sort of said might influence some things. They wasn't going to do all these occults, but definitely made it seem like they for surely were going to do some of them. Witches what seemed to be the one that won. I feel like magic is coming, and it's coming with witches. And I really want witches and fairies are my top 2 next occults to come in. I want those 2 so badly. I want mermaids too. I really want all of them, honestly. I think mermaids would be my next one, but witches and fairies are my next 2. Werewolves can easily fit, because I feel like werewolves and vampires are always compared together, but I didn't enjoy the werewolves as much as I did like the vampires and witches and stuff in Sims 3. I much preferred vampires, witches, and fairies were the 3 that I played the most of out of the cults from Supernatural. So those ones are the ones that I want back in Sims 4. We already have vampires, just give me the other 2 and I'll be happy. But yes, I do want magic in the game at some way. Some people say that it wouldn't, like, I think some people are afraid that it would start not adding realism in their game, but technically, if you thought that that was a big issue for you, then just, it's gonna be like a game pack. I don't think it's gonna be a full expansion pack. Don't get it. To me, I think there's ways to, I think witches would be, you already have vampires, and most people I think have the vampire game pack. Not everyone, but most people do, because a lot of people love the build and buy options, which I did too. So, they're not realistic really at all. I mean, they're more realistic compared to some of them, but not really a whole lot. I think witches, which bringing in magic is more realistic, the most realistic out of all of them, and it sort of would start tying all the rest of the cults into a real world and sort of making it seem like, oh, we have this, we have witches, we have magic. This sort of could influence how these other cults came about. That's how you can look at it, sort of a realistic standpoint, to me anyway, but I like having a little bit of fantasy mixed with realism. I don't like 100% true deep fantasy, but I don't like 100% real deep realism when it comes to most games. There are a few games that are exceptions to that rule, but most of the time I like when they mix fantasy and reality together. What things would make sense in reality and then adding that twist of fantasy. Enough of a twist that it seems like in a big stretch that actually possibly could be real. That's what I like. So I want witches and things like that to come back, because I have fun with those Sims. I think it adds a funny twist and a different twist and a unique twist to your game. So I definitely want them to come back. I'm 100% for any of the cults coming back at all. Like, yes, please. I don't think there's any new occults that they could come up with that haven't been in the Sims games before, but I would welcome new occults too, if that's a possibility. But yeah. Okay, and the last thing she says is more life stages. So, I know a lot of people, there seems to be people that are strongly against more life stages, and then people who are strongly for life stages. There's not too many people in between. I say I'd probably be in between, because I'm sort of okay with the life stages now, but I would have been more okay with it if they would done teens differently. The teens life stage is the one that annoys me the most. Not so much the way they act. Like, after getting Parenthood with the way the teenagers act and things like that, I think it helped a lot. But the thing with the teenagers is I feel like, you know, baby to toddler, that seems like a realistic gap. Toddler to kid, to me, seems like a realistic gap, which I've heard some people say the kids to them seem a little bit more like the teenagers to the toddlers to them, but honestly, to me, they don't. To me, the kids act like true kids. Like, they're under the age of, like, 12. Like, they're 12 and younger. That's how I sort of see the kids. And you can easily like, when a kid first ages up to when they're about to age up to a teen, you can easily sort of give them a story plot to make it very more realistic. Plus, height-wise, though, yes, the toddlers are very short, height-wise and figure-wise, it's not as big of a gap or a strain as, in my opinion, as it is from kid to teen. I think it's less awkward to see a toddler and a kid that are about the same, like two toddlers that are about the same age, but one ages up first. Them communicating and talking to each other still as one is still a toddler is less awkward than seeing a child whose friend aged up before them talking to a teen. Because the teens are so much taller. They are just, they definitely look more like a young adult than they do a teen. And in fact, when you change into a young adult, it's so much of a small difference that you don't mostly know it. And I think the difference mostly comes from muscle tone and or fat. And the reason why I say fat, because I don't know how else to describe it, is mainly more towards female Sims than male Sims, because their curves become a little bit more defined. But that's about it. Like, there's almost no difference. Especially face-wise, there's, like, basically no difference. That's the thing with the teens. To me, the teens, especially before Parenthood, the teens looked and acted more like adults than they did teens. Than they did any of their younger life stages. With Parenthood, it helped a bit. They do act more like teenagers now. They are more well-defined as a teen. But still. That's my thing with the life stages. There's no other life stage that I would want now, like, any more in between, except for the preteen. And that's the only reason, is because the teenagers are so much like young adults and so different to kids, in my opinion. And yes, you can do story blending and story-wise that you could sort of easily make the teen seem like they just came from the child and go up. But I think it's a further stretch than the toddler to kid than it is kid to teen. That's the only reason why I would want more life stages. I don't know how many life stages she was thinking of. She just said more life stages. So, I'm not sure what she was saying, but preteen is the only life stage, in my opinion, that maybe could be added that I would want. And I personally partially want it, but it's not, I mean, I do want it, but at the same time, it's one of those things, if we never get it, I'm not going to be, like, very sad about it. So, yeah, I want it, but it's not, like, a big deal. So, and it's only because the teens are just so much of an adult already, except for with parenthood, there's some difference, but still, it's just, yeah. It looks more natural, because some people are like, when you have, there's the option to have the teens dating young adults with, like, MCC and stuff, and some people say that's weird, which it depends on the age of, like, in real life, it really depends on the age of a teenager. Someone who is, like, 17, 18, they're still a teen, and technically, by law, nothing romantically, like, intimately can happen. I think, is it 18? Or is that by state? That may be by state, where I'm from. I don't know how it is in other places either, so that also may be different. But 17 and 18, it happens. That one's not as weird. Now, when they start getting down to 16, 15, and you're like 19, 20, 21-year-old, no. No, that shouldn't happen. But the 17, 18, it doesn't bother me too much. But also a thing is like, someone who is 17, 18 dating someone who's around, but only like 2-3 years older than them, but they just happen to be the older person. It happens. Like, age gaps are, that teen era is where age gaps are very awkward. Because once you get into your 20s, it's not so awkward, because there's people, age gaps, huge. My parents are like 8 years apart. So, but they got together when they were in their 30s. I think my dad may have already been 40. They got together late because they had previous marriages before this, but, so, it's not so much the age gap, it's just the actual age. But I don't find it too weird if a teen who's getting close to turning a young adult in Sims world being as weird. Now, a teen that just turned into a teen, yes, that's weird. Stick with teens. But also, because they look so much like young adults, they don't look strange standing next to a young adult. And half of the time, especially when I first started playing Sims 4, I had the issue when I was trying to find romantic interest for my Sims, and I would see Sims walking around, and I'd be like, oh, who's that? Let me have them go talk to, oh, that's a teenager, never mind. Couldn't tell. Sometimes I didn't know they were a teenager till I started talking to them, and, like, the romantic option wasn't there because I didn't hover over their name long enough. And I was like, well, why can't I do this? Like, they've become really close friends at this point. Why can't I do this? And then I was like, finally hovered over their name, and it said teen, and I was like, okay, that'd be why. See, they just look, they look so much like young adults. That's my big pet peeve about the teenagers. They just look so much like young adults. Maybe some of the things I'm saying people won't agree with, but that's just my opinion, that the teens are too much like young adults, so it makes it seem like they're more around, like, 18, 17, 16-ish. Maybe 19. Some people still consider 19 to be sort of a teen, and honestly, a lot of 19-year-olds still do act very teen-like, so that's where the teens seem like they're at. And, like, the young adult age starts around 2021 to me. So that's sort of where it seems like teens are sitting at right now, and kids to me don't look like they're any older, that they don't look or act any older than they're like 11, 12. So there's like that 13, 14, 15 year gap right there that to me isn't really represented very well by the kids or the teens. So I would be okay with a preteen. I've went on longer with this than I really meant to for the preteen. So, whoops. I may cut certain sections out for all I know. But anyway, I don't know. I also may end up deciding to do this as like a 2-part vid, or maybe I'll even take my mini vlog out and let it be a short video on its own. I don't know at this point. I talk too much. Okay, so I'm going to actually, in this video here, I'm going to divide it into 2 parts. I'm still deciding whether or not to divide my mini vlog off of the video as well. I'll probably make a outro and intro for the mini vlog and then for the Sims 4 once, just in case. once I get into editing, I'm like, yeah, nope, too long. So we'll just see how it goes into editing, but I do have some where I'm flipping through my phone and stuff like that, trying to find these. I do have some time to take out there, but otherwise I don't think that's going to be much time, so pretty sure it's going to be 3 different videos, but it's fine, it's okay, we'll deal with it. But anyway, thank you so much for watching. Definitely make sure you stay tuned for the second part, which I'll put out the day after, so that, you know, they're close together and things like that. If you agree with some of the things that I'm saying and some of the things that these people want, please let me know your input down in the comments below, and if there's anything I haven't said yet, feel free to add it in that comment section. I may mention it in the second part because there are some other things that I definitely know that some people's mentioned that I haven't got to yet. So it may be mentioned in part 2, but definitely by the end of part 2, if something you really want has not been mentioned, definitely mention it down in the comments below. I definitely want to talk to y'all and see what y'all want. That always interests me because some people end up saying something that I didn't really think about, and I'm like, wait, that'd actually be really cool. I actually really like that. So definitely comment down below with things that you would love to see in The Sims 4, or things that you wish was maybe changed or tweaked a little bit that's already in the game. And shit. Thank you so much for watching. All of my Sims 4 playlists will be down in the description below, as well as all of my social media, so you can go follow me on there. Particularly Twitter is where I put a lot of things that if I'm going to be doing a video for something that might involve y'all picking where we're going or what we're doing or what we're talking about, I will put a tweet out over there and y'all can reply to that. So definitely make sure you go and follow me on Twitter at least. And I'll see you in the next one. Bye bye!